This is NBC6 South Florida Today.
Thank you, Roxy. Well, from a very early age, our next guest had a very rare trait for a little girl. She was super organized, and today Rory Tahari tells us how she's taken the worries out of planning everything from the perfect wedding to hassle-free traveling in her latest book, List for Life, The Essential Guide to Getting Organized and Tackling Tough To-Dos. Now, you're Miss Fashion Diva. Everybody knows the name Tahari. What made you write a book on being organized?
Well, I wrote List for Life because ever since I was a little girl, I always loved being organized and keeping lists. And I think that's why they now call me the list mistress.
I like that, though. It has a certain ring.
I know. It's kind of funny.
Certain mystery to it, too.
Yes.
Now, you've been traveling a lot lately.
Yes.
And you have to be organized when you travel.
Absolutely. Well, in List for Life, we have a whole list, a travel packing list, and I thought it would be really fun to actually write an iPhone app. So you can go to iTunes and download Travel Packing Checklist iPhone app.
Oh, neat.
Because I think it's a really great way to keep yourself organized when you're traveling. And I put everything that I could ever think of that I travel with there, and you can even edit it and add your own things so you can customize the list.
Phenomenal.
You can also email yourself anything that you forgot to take on the trip or you want to take, print it out. So it'll help you stay more organized when you're traveling.
I love that. Okay, you've got a lot of neat stuff. This is
Yeah.
kind of like what you call your diaper bag list.
Yes. So now we're talking. We're talking about the children's section. So in List for Life, we have a whole parenting section, and this is the ultimate diaper bag checklist. So I always like to have a diaper bag that has a lot of pockets because
It's
you
so
want to.
fashionable.
And of course, like I love how it doesn't look like a diaper bag because I'm one of those moms that really doesn't want to look like I'm carrying a diaper bag. So it has a lot of cool pockets, and so you can keep different things in different pockets. You always want to have you know, a little something for the kids to write on, crayons, keep them busy, a little toy. I always like something for myself, like Oprah magazine, because sometimes if they're taking a nap, you want to be able to keep yourself busy.
Exactly.
And always want to change your clothing because the children, as you know, when they're eating, they always sometimes make a little mess on themselves. So got to keep that, and I always keep it in a Ziploc bag so you can put the dirty clothes back in the Ziploc bag. I always want pen and paper. I always keep a laminated card of emergency phone numbers.
Oh, you're way too organized.
In the bag because I've definitely encountered a few emergencies in my life with my own children. Keep a copy of their insurance card. I once was in a situation with my own daughter. We were traveling, and she actually had a febrile seizure, and I had to take her straight to the hospital. So I had the insurance card with me, thank God, and so it just facilitated everything, you know, quicker at the hospital.
Fantastic.
So I also have a list of everything that goes in the diaper bag. So every time I go to refill it, I don't forget anything. Always have extra diapers and wipes. So and I always like this cute little wipe case. You know, I don't like the regular wipe case. I like something a little cuter. Extra snacks because the kids get hungry.
A lot.
And there's nothing worse than a hungry kid. And sometimes even a hungry mom.
Yes.
Always like to keep extra little medicines, whether it's a Benadryl in case they get an allergy attack, tissues, Band-Aids, and of course, very important, hand sanitizer. With all the swine flu going around, you want to make sure your kids are always, you know, keeping their hands clean all the time, and yourself as well. Extra Ziploc bags are always great. You never know when you have a dirty diaper, so you can throw it in the Ziploc bag. And then you always want to have a little extra blanket because sometimes you never know, like here on the TV station, it's a little cold.
Exactly.
And you always want to make sure your kids are warm.
Wow, you have us all organized, all the moms. But in this book, you go far beyond moms. You've got so much stuff. Weddings, honeymoons. You know, is it just based on life experience, all the things that you went through, and then you put it all down in the book?
Well, you know, it's funny you mentioned weddings, actually. I only had 2 weeks to plan my wedding.
Are you serious?
Yes. Well, I actually married a confirmed bachelor who was much older than me, and we were engaged for 2 years, and he was kind of thinking about it, and finally he woke up one day and said, okay, let's get married.
Wow.
So I only had 2 weeks to plan the wedding.
Oh my gosh.
And so I finally went straight into making a list. Another thing that's in the book, I have the ultimate list for the hospital when you're pregnant, what to pack. And the funny part about that list, my friends always tease me, is that I never got to go to the hospital. I accidentally gave birth at home.
Did you really?
I did, so I never got to implement the list.
Wow.
So it's you know, I've sent it to many friends, and they've emailed me back and told me that the list was great, but they always ask me, but when they first look at the list, why do you have honey and quarters on the list?
Honey and quarters.
Honey and quarters. I know, strange thing to have on a list of things to take to the hospital when you're giving birth. Well, the quarters are because sometimes your cell phones don't work, and if you need to make a phone call, gotta have a quarter.
You gotta have a quarter or two.
Or two. Maybe you're hungry and you want to go to the vending machine. And then the honey, of course, sometimes you're in a long labor. I obviously didn't have a very long labor because I gave birth at home accidentally. But when you're pushing and you're in labor for a long time, you start to lose energy. So honey has can give you the most amount of energy very quickly.
Well, thank you so much, Rory. It's a pleasure meeting you. Wow, all this great information. To get your copy of Rory's book, List for Life, log on to listforlife.com. There's even a List for Life organizational iPhone app, as she told you about, so you'll want to check that one out too. Now, Roxy's all dressed and back in the studio and looking lovely. Hey.